Mr. Naokimi Ushiroda is a graduate of Wharton School of Business, and he is the president of CARP USA. He understands the very vital importance of educating youth in the meaning of living for the sake of others. He brings his enthusiasm for the character development of young adults as the future leaders of our communities, our societies, and our nations and the world. So he's very active in this capacity in the United States. So please welcome Mr. Naokimi Ushiroda.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, it's already afternoon, if you believe it or not. Yeah, it's truly an honor to be in front of all you distinguished leaders. I do not have a doctor in front of my name yet, but what I do lack in experience, I do like to make up in energy and enthusiasm, and I hope that I can share something that could bring some inspiration to you today. So in response to Jack's presentation, actually I grew up with these principles my whole life. And I must say my favorite part of the principles is the whole section on the principles of creation. Just the understanding that God, according to the teachings, is a parental figure who simply from the very beginning had one simple goal: to create a world where he can dwell within families centered on his love. That's it. I mean, that basic principle has guided me through many challenges in my personal life, in the perspective on how the world functions, the challenges. All of it comes back to that simple perspective that all God wanted from the very beginning was to create a world where he can dwell in love, peace, and happiness. So then the question comes, okay, we get that. In fact, all of us here are gathered together from all across the world to come together to figure out how can we actually create that. So I want to respond with some ideas, some suggestions in terms of how do we apply this theoretical kind of broad perspective into our own lives. Dr. Balcom, Michael Balcom, he picked the same exact quote I was going to read, but I'll read it again anyway because it's that good. So, in the founder's address, there was a quote that the restoration process does not begin fundamentally with political, economic, cultural, or social transformation. It begins in the realm of the spirit, the realm of the mind and our conscience. The transformation of the world begins with the transformation of the self. I truly believe this, that if we want to make change in this world, it first begins with change within ourselves. What does that mean? We can go and have and attend these peace councils and, serve in our community, but let me ask you one question we should ask ourselves. How are we in our relationship with those closest to us? How are we treating our spouses, our wife, our husband? How are we treating our children? By the way, I know I look young, but I am a parent of two. I'm 36, and I have a boy who's 10 and a girl who's just turned 7. So I understand. It's a lot easier to tell my kids, get changed because I said so, instead of being patient and practicing and trying to understand their needs and fulfilling them with love so that they naturally surrender to my requests, especially when I'm tired, especially after a full day of work. But that's exactly it. We can talk about peace, but we need to first practice it in our own homes, in our own daily lives. Because the way that we treat our children, the way that we treat our spouse, that's the way we treat our employees. That's the way we treat all women, all men. So it all begins within the self. Any challenges that we see in the world, it actually exists already within our own realm of influence. And that's an area that I believe we can make a difference and that we can start to work with. So a second area that I would recommend to UPF and its leaders, since I like being semi-controversial, not that controversial, but if we look around, one of the principles is that God represents both male and female. But when I look around, I see that there's more male than female here. Why is that? If we want a full experience of God's love, we should fully represent and model that here at UPF as well. Can I get a aju or a yay or an amen or? All right. No, even as a man, I appreciate more beauty in the audience as well. So guys are good too. So that's another area. And then finally, as the president of CARP, a youth organization focused on student empowerment, I want to challenge each of you to really think about, in your strategies for developing peace in your respective areas of influence, to think about who is your next generation of leadership. Who are you grooming to raise, to replace, and really create a new world? Because young people, they tend to be, naive and energetic and not experienced, but the beauty of it is that they don't see as much limitations. Do you know what I mean? They haven't experienced life enough or disappointment enough to think, oh, that's not possible. It's never worked in the past. They have that youthful naivety, but excitement and hope that anything is possible. So again, I want to ask you to think, who within your realm of influence are you investing in? Are you raising up to be the next generation of leadership? Steve Jobs once said that the greatest agent of change is death itself. Sounds really grim. But what I realized is, after working with some people at least, that in some cases, that's what it takes. Is that it's hard to change, or one quote is, it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks, but the point is, it's hard to change something we've been growing up with for so long. And sometimes you just need new wineskins and to put new wine into to help generate a new possibility. But having said that, I believe all of us here, although maybe physically we may look more experienced, internally, I know you all have that faith and hope, and that's why you're here in the first place. That despite all the challenges and the limitations you see in the world, you're still here today to come and discuss the possibilities of a new future. I like to end with a quote that, people say that, those people who say, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. The truth is, I'll see it when I believe it. That faith is actually more powerful than proof. Because for those who say that, you need faith, those that believe that you need proof, no proof is going to be enough. But for those who have faith, you don't need the proof. We need each of us to continue to believe in the possibilities for that to happen. And think about it. Who among all of us have held that faith more than anyone else? Who has had the most faith this whole time? It's none other than God himself or herself. That despite the challenges, he's still holding on to the possibility that eventually we will get there. That we, as his children, can create a world where he can dwell. So let's continue to have faith, continue to really invest in creating that peace and harmony in our own homes, and continue to invest in the next generation of leadership. Thank you very much.